And Billy was there doing whatever it was that Billy was doing, probably surveillance. But, Billy was one of these guys that just went from country to country to country. Whenever somebody needed something, they would fill in the gaps. So it's Billy's day off, and he's down in the vegetable market, where he's, the only white guy in the cartoon vegetable market. And he sees another white guy. And he says to the other CIA contractor that he's with, "That's Carlos the Jackal." Well, Carlos the Jackal, of course, had killed dozens of people in an airport attack in Vienna, and he blew up a train and a train station in France and killed a bunch of cops. And this was wanted terrorist number one of the 1970s. His name was Ilich Ramirez Sanchez. He was a Venezuelan national, but known by the nom de guerre Carlos the Jackal. And he was a weapons expert and had ready access because he had relationships with outlaw nations like the Libyans, the Iraqis back in the 70s, the North Koreans. He's a Bond villain is what he was. That's what it comes down to, really. So Billy says, "That's Carlos the Jackal." Get the fuck out of here. Billy goes back to the embassy, goes to Kofer's office. Kofer's on an elliptical machine. He says, "What's up, Billy?" Billy says, "Kofer, I know you're not going to believe me, but I saw Carlos the Jackal." He's like, "Yeah, you're right. I don't believe you." He said, "Kofer, I'm telling you, I know what Carlos looks like. I saw Carlos the Jackal." He said, "Well, if it was Carlos the Jackal, then we're going to have to find him." So Billy went back to the vegetable market every single day for a month. And finally, after a month, he sees Carlos again. And he takes pictures. Click, 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 click. Sends the pictures to headquarters. Oh, it's Carlos the Jackal. But this time, Billy had followed him home. So now at least we knew where he was. I think that the actual details of the capture are still classified. The bottom line is they came up with an absolutely brilliant idea that would never have occurred to me, and they lured him to a doctor's office on false pretenses where he was sedated, and when he woke up, he was on a French military flight back to Paris to face murder charges.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
It's an incredible story. And he's telling me this story. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. He said, "No, I'm serious. I caught him." I said, "Carlos the Jackal, the most wanted terrorist in world history until Osama bin Laden." He goes, "Yeah, he's buying cabbages."
Wow.
It was just one of those things. Yep, Billy was legendary. I ran into him in the hallway about 6 weeks after 9/11, and he just disappeared on 9/11. And in the meantime, I'm going into Kofer's deputy's office like every day. "You got to send me to Afghanistan. You got to send me to Afghanistan." I was one of only 16 Arabic speakers in the entire CIA at the time. "You got to send me to Afghanistan." And they kept brushing me off. So I run into Billy in the hallway, and I was like, "Billy," I said, "where you been?" And he looks around, he goes, "Been in Afghanistan." I said, "Yeah, what are you doing in Afghanistan?" And he goes, "I've been killing people. What do you think I've been doing?" And I said, "Well, that's why they're not sending me. Because I was always the good cop. I was the linguist. And they're not interviewing anybody.
Right.
They're not interrogating anybody. They're putting bullets in their brains. They didn't need me." So I got mad. I went into Kofer's deputy's office, who was an old boss of mine. I really liked him. And I said, "Man, if you don't send me to Afghanistan right now, I am going to quit, and I'm going to walk straight to Exxon, and I'm going to take my Arabic with me, and I am not looking back." He's like, "Relax. Okay. Can you go to Pakistan?" I said, "Yes." "When?" He says, "Tomorrow." I said, "Yes." "What do you want me to do there?" He said, "Chief of Counterterrorism Operations." I said, "Done." So I called my girlfriend. I said, "I got to go to Pakistan tomorrow." She said, "Okay, For how long? I said, I don't know. Maybe a year. I'm not sure. She goes, okay, I'll meet you at your apartment. I'll help you pack. So she helped me pack. And the next day I flew to Pakistan.